Morning, Earthlings. How you doing today? Welcome to First Contact Radio. Glad you could make it back. Let's see what we got to deal with today with our cosmic weather. Okay, over at over at spaceweather.com, our solar wind is 374. Dyslexia has hit me today, apparently. 374.2 kilometers per second. We go down to our planetary K index, 0. Could get as high as a 2 in the next 24 hours. Coronal holes, we don't see much of anything here. We do see some starting to come around this way, as you recall from the videos the other day. And our chance for flares are very, very small, if anything at all. Okay. Moving from here, go over to our astrology for today. Right here, we're dealing with the same sun sign, which is Aquarius. Aquarius being an air sign, so we're dealing with air for our conscious mind, whereas our unconscious mind is dealing with the element of earth. We are at Virgo. Virgo is the sign for today. So we have air and earth. If we look at them in the tarot cards, we have Aquarius the star and the hermit. The star and the hermit. The star is all about tapping into oneself by asking the right questions to bring up the answers from inside. And the hermit is all about holding our lantern high for others to see. If we go inside consciously and we bring up the answers we need from the unconscious in this conjunction, in this manner, we're bringing up that wisdom from the depths to help us teach. So today I say would be a good day about really finding out how we teach the world, how we share with each other what it is that we've learned. Okay, we're coming out of a phase of learning, and now it's time to apply that learning into the world. From there we go to our moon phase. We're making our way back down to a new moon again, but we're just getting started, 94% of the way full. And on our Mayan Oracle, we're at a 12-tone day. 12 tones are called crystal tones. We're right here. It's the World Bridger. So it's the day just before we're getting ready to make our jump. So we're dealing with the issues of life and death as they apply to the theme of vision. Okay, we've gone through this theme of vision. And now we're at the point where we've just expressed our energy, we've dissolved our energy, and now we're going to see how that energy becomes part of the bigger whole, which means we have to take a look at what we are doing, what has been going on with it in the past, determine the ways that we need to adjust and adjust accordingly. Because some of the ways that we've been doing, maybe it's time for a change, and maybe that's the death process. But since death and life are both aligned together, and there really isn't one without the other, we understand that the process of looking at death is really a process of looking at life. It's just the way we choose to look at it. Okay, so today's a good opportunity to look at what our vision is as we're getting ready to make that big jump tomorrow. Okay, all right, there you go. That's our cosmic weather for today. So this week, the beginning theme so far has been William Cooper, and this is because I've had a number of emails from viewers and listeners who wanted to know about William Cooper. Some inquired about the book Behold the Pale Horse. Some wanted to know just about him in itself, his radio show that he did, The Hour of the Time. Anyway, this is another piece about William Cooper, and as you can see from the title, it says William Cooper, the man who predicted 9/11. That's right, before 9/11 happened, he talked about it based on what he knew. And anyway, let me get to this interview. It's a good one. Check it out. Here we go.
Supposedly, a CNN reporter found Osama bin Laden, took a television camera crew with him, went into Osama bin Laden's hideout, interviewed him and his top leadership And he came out and told everybody within 3 weeks. And his top leadership, and he came out and told everybody within 3 weeks Osama bin Laden is going to attack the United States and Israel. Now, don't you think that's kind of strange, folks? You see, because the largest intelligence apparatus in the world, with the biggest budget in the history of the world, has been looking for Osama bin Laden for years and years and years, and can't find him. Some doofus jerk-off reporter with a camera crew waltzes right into his hideout and interviews him. And I'm telling you, be prepared for a major attack. But it won't be Osama bin Laden. It will be those behind the New World Order. I wonder what Osama bin Laden's targets are supposed to be. And if they don't, if this doesn't materialize in the next 2 or 3 weeks, it will eventually materialize because they haven't succeeded in getting the guns out of the hands of the American people, nor have they succeeded in taking our freedoms away. And so I can tell you with a certainty, they must do something terrible in order to stop this backlash and regain the sympathy of the mass herds of sheeple out there.
Bill's broadcast went on to explain the federal government's foreknowledge and compliance of that fateful day. Bill's final broadcast, November 5th, 2001, was dedicated to his next book about his experience in Vietnam and was dedicated to all those that served during that time. That evening, the Apache County Sheriff Department would come to Bill's home at 11:15 p.m. fully armed to serve a warrant for arrest. The local Eager Police Department was not notified until after Bill was killed.
Apache County Sheriff's deputy is in the hospital after being shot in the head by a so-called militia member.
Now, what we know is that militia member is dead. Our Gary Harper has the very latest on what's going on with that story. Gary?
Marty, Scott, this all happened in a little town called Eager, Arizona, which is just on the eastern side of the state of Arizona. It's almost on the border of New Mexico. This is what we know so far. Sheriff's deputies, we understand, were trying to serve some type of arrest warrant on a man by the name of William Cooper. He's also known as Bill Cooper. He reportedly has been known to be hostile towards law enforcement, so sheriff's deputies apparently disguised themselves as a bunch of rowdy teenagers in the back of a pickup truck in hopes of luring Cooper out, and it apparently worked. However, when Cooper realized what was happening, he reportedly pulled a gun and shot a 40-year-old deputy in the head. During the gunfight, Cooper himself was shot and he was killed. Now, this is what we know about Bill Cooper. Officials say he belongs to some kind of militia movement and has published several anti-establishment articles. He has a website, we understand, and on that website he acknowledges that there is an arrest warrant for him, but he writes, and we're quoting here, any attempt by any federal government agent or anyone else to execute the unlawful arrest warrants will be met with armed resistance. Any person who attempts to kidnap our children will be shot upon discovery, and that is apparently what happened earlier this morning. Sometime after midnight, Cooper reportedly pulling a gun and shooting a 40-year-old Apache County Sheriff's deputy in the head. That Sheriff's deputy, we understand, has been flown to Phoenix, where he is in a hospital. We are trying to get his condition right now. We do not know exactly what his condition is, and we understand that the militia member, in this case Bill Cooper, was shot to death. We do have a crew en route to Eager, Arizona, and we'll have a lot more coming up on tonight's news. All right.
This was an extremely serious event, not just because Bill had been shot, but what precipitated this? How did this happen? Was this... no one knew the answer, so immediately we got on the internet and we started searching, downloading news articles from Arizona, trying to find out. I got on the phone, was calling the Hour of the Time phone line, which of course was busy most of the time, and then I would leave a message when I could, please call me back, not understanding all of the chaos that Doyle was involved with that day as well.
Can't trust the papers, as Bill would say. In fact, within the first sentence of the first article that was written about this in the Arizona Republican, the word militia appears. The name Timothy McVeigh appears. This kind of irresponsible journalism, unfortunately, was something Bill had to fight off for, as he would say, years and years and years and years and years. Bill was not a member of a militia, but he believed very strongly in the Second Amendment, and he did a program on how to form your own militia and do it legally.
After Bill was killed, virtually every newspaper article that you would see on Bill, or any report on television or on radio, always mentioned Timothy McVeigh, and that Timothy McVeigh and William Cooper were connected. And Bill was portrayed as an extreme right-wing lunatic that was encouraging the activities of Timothy McVeigh. While in fact Timothy McVeigh did listen to William Cooper and in fact visited him, came up to Bill's Hill to visit him, Bill told him to get lost.
Michael Brescia, who is John Doe number 2, the spitting image of the drawings that they put out, wearing the exact same cap that was worn by the man in the drawings that they put out, with the same tattoo on his left arm, stood in front of me for 10 minutes and talked to me in the company of Timothy McVeigh. And Tim McVeigh was not the leader. Tim McVeigh probably didn't say more than 25 or 30 words during the entire time. Michael Brescia did all of the talking, and the last thing he said before they left in their green Mercury Marquis station wagon with a puke yellow interior was, "Watch Oklahoma City." If anyone was in charge, at least on that day, it was Michael Brescia, John Doe number 2, not ever Timothy McVeigh. They told us during that conversation that they were setting out on a mission to make things better in this country, and that they had the approval of the United States Army, who had implanted them with computer chips, had given them their blessings, and knew exactly where they were and what they were doing all the time.
Bill was left to lie there in the front yard. Non-lethal devices are the supposed norm in the country and this state. It's supposedly stressed and was verified in newspaper articles afterwards, not even pertaining to Bill's case, just informational articles out of the Arizona Republic. No such device was used, nets, stun guns, anything. All the fancy foams and rubber bullets, none of that. The Apache County coroner, to declare Bill dead and deny him, obviously, medical treatment if he's dead, happened to be Dr. Scott Hamlin. He was not called, theoretically, because he'd be a conflict of interest, which he would be, but I can't believe they use such wise judgment now all of a sudden. So Navajo County had to be called to clear the next county over. And obviously woken up, you know, all this stuff. So there's a huge time frame here. But Bill received no medical treatment. The sheriff's deputies took it in their own hands, and the paramedics, that he did not need to be treated. That he was just gone for good, and that's all there was to it. DPS is wrapping up their all-day-long site investigation. Bill's body has been out there all day, so who knows how it was tampered with. Cameras, nobody was allowed up there. You couldn't get within it to get camera views. Even the helicopters were shunned off, so they couldn't get views of the body. So there's no way to ever tell if it was moved 100 times maybe before the ambulance picked it up. It was then taken to Tucson Forensics Lab for an autopsy.
body was lying by the doorstep of his house for approximately 15 hours while officials waited for a robot to be sent up from Phoenix in order to evaluate the house and property for explosives. Local Edgar informants had testified to law officials that Cooper kept a fully automatic AK-47 machine gun by his door and that his house was wired with explosives. There were no explosives or booby traps found in the house or on the property. The alleged fully automatic AK-47 by the door turned out to be a Browning .30-06 hunting rifle with a scope.
Those of you who are smart enough to know what is transpiring here know that these are historic broadcasts. And by making these broadcasts, I have sealed my fate.
This is the UFO News with Joshua Poet.
All right, Dirk, thank you very much. This is the UFO News for today, and there are 6 stories. Story number 1 comes to us. This is from Texas. This is latest-ufos.com. This was a UFO on news camera, and it has here, not an asteroid, for those who are wondering. Okay, it's a 40-second clip. See right in this area here, something's going on. Check again. See, over in this area, something's going on here. Now, you could see this object comes down, swoops, and up. So if it was an asteroid, I'm guessing it would have continued its trajectory down and hit. But it didn't. It went down, swooped, and up. So, what could that be? Do we have asteroids that can change direction like that? Probably not. Next story. This is Krsko nuclear power plant in Slovenia. This interesting video of unidentified flying objects hovering in the night sky over the nuclear power plant in Krsko, Slovenia was filmed on Saturday the 26th. It says, I was at my friend's house and we caught these bright UFOs or some kind of lights. They were just hovering at one spot, one right above the nuclear plant in Krsko, which is the only nuclear plant in ex-Yugoslavia. This happened this Saturday around 10 in the evening. Very strange. Okay. Interesting sight there in Slovenia. Alright, we have a good story here about crop circles. We've heard crop circles for long, long times. What are they? We hear all the story of hoaxes. Well, this is an old crop circle that was brought up. An Aussie historian believes he has buried forever the serial lie that crop circles are the work of hoaxsters by unearthing Black County images of them dating back to 1945 and beyond. It's barely impossible, shall we say barely believable, but Greg Jeffries has also uncovered evidence of the phenomena in scientific documents dating back to 1880. The Boffin from Hobart T, Tasmania, says his findings prove that there's more to the mysterious circles than hoaxers playing silly tricks. This discovery proves that claims by various artists to be the sole creators of crop circles themselves a hoax, he says. Just goes to show that the circles remain unexplained. I hope this discovery will stimulate renewed interest in crop circles by serious scientific researchers who have been fooled by the hoax claims. Okay. Says Greg, age 59, who cut his teeth locating shipwrecks, used Google's Earth's new 1945 layout, images of places taken 68 years ago to make the breakthrough. He spent more than 300 hours scouring the English countryside using the technology and found a large number of crop circles. 2 of the most significant were on the outskirts of Stourbridge. Okay, more to the article, but very interesting to see that crop circles have been around a lot longer than the hoaxsters that claim to be making them, which means that the hoaxsters are full of, well, they're full of hoax, right? Okay, moving right along. We all know about the Indians, Native Americans, and their visitations with the Star People. Well, here's an article about that exact thing. A noted American Indian researcher offers up a collection of intimate narratives of encounters between contemporary American Indians and the Star People. The first-person accounts, described as conscious experiences and recalled without the aid of hypnosis, reveal a worldview that unquestionably accepts the reality of the Star People. The stories also reveal cultures that almost universally regard Star People as ancestors, which allows for interactions to take place without fear and helps explain the uniqueness of the encounters and the experiences. The stories are told by people from all walks of life. Some had graduate degrees, others had never attended school. Some were adept at technology, others had never used a cell phone, owned a computer or a television set. A few of the stories are about the events that occurred before 1947 Roswell incident. However, the majority of the events took place between 1990 and 2010. This book significantly contributes to knowledge about UFOs from a group that until now have been mostly silent. For readers, it's likely they will never look at UFO phenomena in the same way again. So, suggested reading right here. Okay? Find out what the native of the world have to say about the extraterrestrials. They have a different view. They don't look at it the same fear-based way that society does nowadays. Now, here's a story. This comes to us from UFO Digest about missing time. A South Carolina witness is unable to explain more than 2 hours of missing time that occurred in the early morning hours of January 13th, 2013, according to testimony from the MUFON database. With some minor editing, here's the story in the witness's own words. This is not a UFO sighting, but so strange that this is the only place I could think to put it, the witness stated. Early this morning, something so strange happened I cannot shake this uneasy feeling. Last night I fell asleep on the couch. My wife asked me if I wanted to get up and go to the bed. I said, how about just a blanket and leave me sleeping here? Sometime I get up from where I'm sleeping. I cannot go back to sleep, so it's better to stay where I am. I woke on the couch. It was dark outside. I needed to get up and use the bathroom. My daughter's bathroom is not 6 feet from the couch down the hallway. I got up and on the way over there glanced to look at what was the oven clock. It was 2:15. Usually when I get up at this time of night it's because something, or every once in a while my 6-year-old daughter wakes me up jumping into our bed because of a bad dream which always makes me get up and go to another room. So I go in and use the bathroom, which takes only a couple minutes. I walk from there to the kitchen, grab a Mountain Dew from the fridge. I notice my neck is killing me, which is like what I call a crick, and it hurts like hell. So I go to the couch, set the dew on the floor in front of the couch, and rub my neck for a moment. I reach down, grab the Mountain Dew, pick it up, take a drink, and think, this is warm. What the heck? I figure something must be wrong with the fridge, but thinking it was cold, walking over, I noticed I had used the bathroom. It was like, what the hell? I just went to the bathroom a minute ago. Then I noticed that my neck was suddenly feeling a lot better. Still hurting, but not really as bad as it was. I kept my laptop on the coffee table and reach over, hit the mouse, and the computer comes out of sleep mode. This is when I freak. The clock says 4:23 a.m. I look over at the oven clock and it says 4:24 a.m. All of this is happening in less than 6 minutes at most. I got a creepy feeling and started to get upset and a little scared. I looked out the door, which is next to the couch, and out across the backyard. I look and see the motion lights down by the barn some 400 yards are on. Rarely do we see these lights come on and have been triggered by movement of something. Things get worse for me mentally, and I glance down and the door is unlocked and not all the way closed. I cannot explain the way I felt at that moment, but I ran to my daughter's bedroom and she was not there, and turned and ran to ours and hit the light. Both my daughter and my wife were asleep in bed. I came and looked back onto the family room where I was sitting, walked over and pushed the door shut and locked it. I looked out towards the barn and the light was still on. I couldn't see anything except a heavy fog and a weird feeling. I'm not sure if I thought something was at the barn or more that I was so freaked out about what just happened. I sat back down on the couch and spent the next 5 hours thinking about how that could possibly have happened. Got more. He says, I still don't know. Maybe a case of hypnagogia. I don't think so. I never closed my eyes. Whatever happened in those approximate 2 hours, I have no idea. It was totally seamless. I still am baffled how it could have happened. It was something 1 second and 4, something the next second, just like that. I have no history of sleepwalking or any other sleeping disorder. I was not asleep. I was very much awake. I am trying to figure out how to record from my webcam to my laptop, so I will sleep on the couch again tonight to see if anything happens again, or to see if I might be sleepwalking or something. If I do, it'll be the first time ever. Usually my body's in so much pain that when I get up, it's impossible for me to go back to sleep. I have severe back problems. I have listed this as something, an abduction is the only thing I can really put out there, but I want to make it clear that no way am I claiming I have been abducted by anyone. One point I forgot to point out is that both my shipherks sleeping on the back of the couch with me, so if anyone was going to grab me, the dogs would have had them for breakfast. Wife said in the morning that when she went to the bed, all doors were locked up tight. It's a very interesting article. Very interesting indeed. Let's move on from here. This last one has to do with NASA and the media and cover-up that's going on. This is good reference material right here. You see we got a number of links. One, how NASA, the media, cover up life on Mars. Other one, how to evaluate the evidence for indigenous Martian intelligent life. Another article here from exopoliticsblog.com. So this is here for a reference point because we know something is kind of going wacky. Remember the picture the other day that we saw that was supposedly on Mars? It looked like one of those big trailers, campers on wheels. So anyway, that's the UFO news for today. Let me jump away. I'll be back momentarily. Stay tuned.
What if our government was responsible for some of the greatest crimes against this nation? Would you really want to know? These are big questions, but these questions deserve answers. It's time to demand the truth.
People shouldn't be afraid of their governments. Governments should be afraid.
Alrighty. Continuing on. Martial law. Have you heard that term before? Something that people are concerned about. Conspiracy theorists and non-conspiracy theorists are starting to pay attention and notice that there's something going on. There seems to be these continued drills taking place across the country. Some go unnoticed, some do not. The ones that took place recently in Houston, well, they were noticed. Check this out.
Army helicopters and the sound of gunfire created a lot of concern this afternoon in one Houston neighborhood. This happened in southeast Houston around the old Carnegie Vanguard High School, where he received a ton of phone calls from worried neighbors wondering what was going on. Well, Eyewitness News reporter Jessica Willie is live to explain what it was. Jessica?
Yeah, Dave, it was frightening for sure, and to some at nearby Roberts Elementary, so unexpected that the school was locked down for a short time until everyone realized it was a drill. With military helicopters flying above her southeast Houston neighborhood, Frances Geralds didn't know what to think.
When you see this, you think the worst. Right. When you hear this, you think the worst.
And so she passed along her concern.
She told me, don't come home because it sounds like we're in a war zone. Guns shooting and helicopters flying around over the house.
The Army, along with other agencies, had taken over the old Carnegie Vanguard High School. There were armed men in fatigues, plenty of weapons, and what many thought were real live rounds.
I felt like I was in a war zone. It just was nonstop. So I was terrified.
Turns out it was a multi-agency training drill that Gerald's wished would have come with warning.
They could have done a better job at notifying the neighborhood.
Others needed no explanation.
If it's to protect our kids, I'm all for it.
And an Army major who was out here wouldn't tell us exactly what kind of training they were doing. HPD was aware of what was going on, but the fire department apparently wasn't. In fact, an ambulance was even dispatched this way for a shots fired call until HPD told them it wasn't real. Reporting live tonight from Southeast Houston, Jessica Willie, 13 Eyewitness News.
Okay. Shh. Go back to sleep. Nothing to see here. It's just this desensitization going on, okay? People are being desensitized so that you don't think about these things. There's nothing. Pretty soon it'll be normal that you're in a war zone and these things are flying overhead. Drills, drills, drills. These drills are going on all over the place. Sandy Hook, there was a drill going on in Sandy Hook at the same time when the shooting was going on. As a matter of fact, if you go through the Sandy Hook material that's out there, you will see that some of the information that has come out in the research and the investigation has determined that there's possibility that a exercise was filmed and that was shown in conjunction with the Sandy Hook information that was put out there. So a lot of confusion, a lot of desensitization of the people, and it's real easy to get the people to go in with this. Now here's the problem, folks, and this is what I need your help, because we need to pass the word on to everyone. When Americans continually get fooled by these events, it's not good for everybody. Now, those of us who are watching this show and paying attention, we're not getting fooled. We're aware. But we are having to be subject to the lowest common denominator of intelligence there is, and that's stupidity. So I'm really tired, as I'm sure you are, of having to live life based upon the stupidity of others. So the stupid people, or the asleep people, need to wake themselves up real quick, because these events are going on, and they're going to continue to go on. Now, is it possible, here's a question for you to ask, is it possible that these events are going on around Sandy Hook and it's so badly botched because the government or those involved want to see if they can put a lie out into public so blatant and the public will still buy that lie hook, line, and sinker? If that's the case, guess what? The public is buying the lie hook, line, and sinker. At least the majority of them are. There are still those who are quite aware of what's going on, and the numbers keep growing. There's, millions who have seen the videos online and are questioning the events. Just by questioning this event of Sandy Hook might lead you to question other events. And people might start to actually see there's a pattern going on here. And if people don't wake up, well then we're all going to find ourselves in a crazy situation like William Cooper. The man had one leg when they chased him down at the end. And I can assure you that the way that the media paints this story is not the way that it finally went down at the end. Okay? The person who was killed doesn't have the opportunity to tell the story what really happened. But I can guarantee you what the media is telling you is not the truth. Not at all. So, we need to wake up. We need to wake as many people up as possible and keep doing it. I know that's kind of the buzzword in the alternative community, to wake up. But we need to keep waking others up. We can't keep living our lives according to the stupid people in the world. Stupid people, wake up out there. I know that you know stupid people, so tell them. Stupid people need to wake up. Okay. This is information about Sandy Hook. We're going to do one more piece here on this. Question it's asked is, were media and officials on the scene before the shooting? Says a curious phenomena with time, date, stamps on internet websites and postings surrounding the Sandy Hook massacre has reached an all-time level in the conspiracy realm. As a journalist, I myself have never seen so many interesting reports, some more credible than others, surrounding the altercation of time, date, data. In fact, the Intel Hub recorded early on how CNN manipulated the date stamp of the URL regarding their official page titled Sandy Hook Shooting, What Happened? Removing just the date tag, leaving the month and year behind the URL, not typical of all other CNN.com pages. But now we have another issue. Let's take a look at NBC reporter Audrey Washington. And here's a little resume about Audrey, and we go on to say here, what's interesting to note about Audrey Washington is not only that she has done some pretty impressive reporting in the past, but she recently posted on her Twitter account some astonishing pictures. Pictures that possibly precede the shooting. Precede means comes before. So before the shooting occurred, this woman, Audrey Washington, supposedly was tweeting pictures of a shooting that hadn't occurred yet. It says at 9:35 a.m., using his mother's Bushmaster, we are told that Adam Lanza shot his way through a locked glass door at the front of the school. Wearing black clothing, earplugs, plugs, olive green, utility vests, magazines, etc. Initial reports that he'd been wearing body armor, some of those correct. But here, okay, now that was at, let's look at the time, 9:35, okay? But at 6:14 a.m., 26 minutes prior to the shooting, we've got this picture from Audrey, Washington. Cars rushing to the scene of the school shooting. But wait a minute. At this time, the shooting hasn't occurred yet. How does she know? How does she know? She must be some super reporter. And then again, at 6:19, here's another pic from the scene. Well, the shooting hasn't occurred yet. How could this be going on? And then we have another one. Look at the people already gathered inside. But the shooting hasn't occurred. 6:36. And then finally we have this other picture here. Okay? So, as you could see, something is screwy with this bit of information here. Something is really not right. Too many people are catching on to this, but the sad state of affairs is there are too many reporters like Audrey who are willing to tell stories and tell lies and jeopardize the very people in this country that they are supposed to be helping. It's sad if they are doing this intentionally. Most likely they are doing it unintentionally as pawns of a game. So the reporters out there really do need to wake up. They are the ones who seem to be being deceived quite a bit. Not only are they being deceived, but their reputations are being tarnished because they're being known to be liars. People are finding out the truth, and it's making these reporters look bad. So, if you're out there and you're one of these reporters for one of these agencies, you really need to start paying attention because you're being used out there in ways that you probably aren't going to like when you see the results at the end of the day. All right, let's move on from there to 3-minute news for today. See what's going on here.
Good morning, folks. I wish I lived in a country where if they're going to modify the weather with cloud seeding, they'll tell you about it. Jakarta, Indonesia, dumping tons in hopes of avoiding their deadly floods. Australia has even seeded for hydroelectric power and irrigation and didn't lie about it. The legal loophole used by the U.S. government is implied consent. When the airplane contrails disperse non-homogeneously and linger regardless of hot or cold, you know what's happening. I've shown the patents. Now I'm really pissed off. Charles Fletcher, with what's dubbed as the climate change book for college, gives all credit to man-made carbon emissions, ignores the magnetosphere failure and the magnetic pole shift, ignores cosmic rays and the slight solar variability climate forcing, even though NASA is making their opposite thoughts so clear that they're re-releasing this article every few days through their various arms and groups. Yes, this is that same January 8th article. It's all about the sun and our interface with it. And by the way, when I said people probably shouldn't be living on coastlines anywhere, I wasn't kidding, and I realize that's a serious statement and no, they haven't gone there yet, but the trend is towards my suggestion. A 6.3 in Kazakhstan was downgraded immediately to 6.0. World meters were all over the place, 6.4, 6.5. 6.8 is doubtful, but it was surely a significant quake. Some traditional earthquakes have been replaced by magmatic movement underneath the White Island volcano in New Zealand. In Australia, Oswald remnants refused to leave the party. Queensland coast inundated with up to 10, 12, 15 feet of sea foam. That's, yeah. Madagascar, like a boss seeing Cyclone Feling, too scared to come ashore. He's a messy beast though, so you'll feel him either way. High pressure over New Zealand. It's going to have the weather pretty nice for a while. Meanwhile, the low pressure boundary on the Australian coast has been wet and will continue. RSOE tells me the flooding has begun in Ireland. We've expected major precipitation as this large low drives moisture along the southern pressure boundary. The rain is going to continue pretty much on that line. North America has that same system driving air on the leading east edge from way down in Mexico across the entire US and into Canada, where on this map you can see that warmth drawing up across the border. The severe weather threat is on. Watches are in place. I know it's January, but this is not a joke, and there will be dangerous conditions for 2 straight days in this part of the country. Spaceship Earth, missing some neutron data on the left, mu-1 network on the right shows cosmic ray density still falling. The filament eruption CME has probably missed Earth, and the coronal hole stream has ended, slowly flattening as geomagnetic disturbances disappear as well. Well, the sun gave us 1 C flare. I know she can do better. All the sunspots look like they need some help, even this big guy on the limb showing himself now. We also have these coronal holes turning in. The northern one is much larger, but the little guy out front is closer to the equator. Watch the limb. You will see a north-south oriented plasma filament emerging through the coronal particles and begins to dance above the solar surface. We've seen eruptions set off other eruptions on the sun, and a titanic blast off the backside this morning may have destabilized this one as well. For all I know, it's erupting as I speak. Definitely got eyes on the eastern limb for the active region, the filament, and the coronal holes coming. We can do better than 1 C flare. Let's send the sun some love. Eyes open. No fear. It's 6:15 a.m. Eastern Time, and that's the news. Be safe, everyone.
All right, very good. Stuff to pay attention to. All right. About all that white sea foam, people running around in that. I don't know about running around in that. What the heck is that? Okay, next one. This is one of these stories that, I don't know, does this fall into sign of the times? The other day, the Pope was doing a little speech, and at the end of his speech releases a dove. And when this dove, as he released it, was to represent the spirit of God's grace going into the world, and as the dove was released, as you can see, there he is getting ready to release the dove. As the dove is released, what happens is it gets attacked by a seagull. Now, the dove managed to survive the attack and just sat down on the windowsill and chilled out there for a while. But nonetheless, what kind of sign is it when the Pope tries to do a symbolic gesture of peace like this, and his symbol of peace is attacked right away? To me, it means that there's something crazy we need to pay attention to. Things happen for a reason. And around the Pope, and around these sort of leaders that are out there in the world, when these things happen, they're big signs for us to pay attention to. We can just laugh and say, oh, this doesn't mean anything. But those of us who are paying attention, we know that this is a sign of times to come, of what's going on in the world, of how God is being taken out of the mix of what's going on, how God is being attacked continuously. So I think that it just shows that we need to pray. We need to stop the attacks on God in this world. We need to start paying more attention and defending God rather than attacking God. I'd like to hear the term devil's advocate completely removed from people's vocabulary, because I hear a lot of people say that they're devil's advocate, but I've never heard anybody tell me that they are being God's advocate. And then when I ask them that, people usually get upset. Whoa, well, I'm not advocating for the devil, but you just said that you were. So let's stop attacking God. Let's stop honoring the satanic things in life that are out there. And let's start honoring what God is about and honoring this kingdom that we live in, because there's a spiritual battle going on. If we don't get it, if we don't understand that, we're missing a big piece of the puzzle. All right. Now, this next story here, it's a new story of what's going on in the world, especially in America, but it's an old story of what used to go on in this country. You see, the founding fathers all grew hemp. The American flag was sewn out of it, that Betsy Ross sewed. The Revolutionary soldiers wore uniforms made out of hemp. The Constitution and Declaration were written on hemp paper. There are so many things that hemp can do. It is a cash crop. Back during the time of George Washington, Thomas Jefferson, you had to grow this product. Well, now flash forward to the times we're in, and the product now called marijuana, which is a slang term given to it to make it look bad, is now starting to make a comeback. People are realizing that there are lots of ways that it can be used. There are those who are still caught in the mindset that it's all about smoking and getting high and that's it. But that's so far from the truth, because there are hundreds of different uses for these different products. Imagine what it's going to be like to put this out into the world, and it's a new color on the palette for the artists of the world to go out and create clothing, create different products for life, nutritional supplements, food products, on and on and on. Paper products, plastic products, oils, different types of fuels. All of these things can come from this material, from this product, hemp, marijuana. If you go back to the Bible, there's two places where it's mentioned. It's mentioned as the green herb, that God gave the green herb to the planet. But not only does God make the green herb and makes mention in Genesis that the green herb exists, but after Adam is created, the first thing God tells Adam is that God made the green herb. So it was important enough to mention after being made that the green herb existed. But then it was even more important, or equally as important, to tell Adam that the green herb existed. Why? Because perhaps this is one of these miracle plants that has hundreds of uses that if we tap into all of the ways we can use it, perhaps it can provide this earth with the sustenance that we need to cure a lot of problems. A lot of problems. There's stories now out there, medical stories, that the oils can be used, the cannabinoid oils can be used for curing cancers. So there's a lot of reasons. That's why some states have regulated it for medical purposes, and other states are just bringing it in because they see it as a cash crop. Anyway, my turn to stop talking now. I'm going to play this video so you can hear what is going on. Here we go.
Investors, politicians, lobbyists, and business people with bright ideas for making a lot of money gather in Seattle. Legalized pot is here, and so are the opportunities for turning the crop into cash. And that is what drew a crowd to a new kind of business confab. Growing pot will be a growing business in this state, and so will everything to do with the newly legal drug. How you consume it, how you package it, how you track it through the system, and more. Plenty of ideas looking for seed money.
This is the next great American industry, and we have an opportunity to do something amazing with that. That just doesn't happen every day.
Troy Dayton and his investors group listened to 6-minute sales pitches by entrepreneurs all day long. Investors ready to ride the rocket when the marijuana business takes off.
At 1.7 billion, growing to 8.9 billion by 2016. And that's some amazing, amazing growth.
At a National Cannabis Industry Association meeting tonight, the city attorney turned out. The mayor spoke. Government leaders rubbing elbows with some of the captains of this emerging industry. An unusual scene, perhaps, but as the mayor told us earlier, what was unusual is now normal.
I mean, this is a trade organization that's asking an elected official about the lay of the land as it affects their industry.
But no one is really... Chris Walker works for a Swedish company that makes lighting systems for indoor farming.
We have a patented technology that allows us to actually read the information coming off the plants via a camera and sensor.
A system that will sense what marijuana plants want and deliver the lighting spectrum they need. He's hoping investors will deliver what he needs, $1 million plus to fire up U.S. operations.
A lot of new money coming in, a lot of exciting products. We're legitimizing an industry that's been in the dark.
Now, Troy Dayton with ArcView says it was a fantastic... ArcView says it was a fantastic day for his investors group, and they heard a lot of good ideas. He also warns potential investors that this is not necessarily a get-rich-quick industry because of all the legal and regulatory challenges still ahead.
All right, so I think it's good that we have an opportunity to explore something different. Hey, we've just begun a new cycle. We've ended an old cycle, which means we should be doing new things. It is a time for new beginnings, which incidentally is the title of this next and this last piece before we do our meditation. So, with a new beginning, we should do new things. We should think of the things we did that didn't work, and we should do something new. Like the old cycle, Obama didn't work, so we should do something new, which means stop listening to that man because he's not doing what's best for this country. In the last cycle, we had Congress. Congress doesn't work anymore. So this new cycle, we should stop listening to Congress. Apparently the president already has, so in that regard, we can follow his lead, that stop listening to Congress. But we have to not follow his lead because he's supposed to be listening to him, so we should just stop listening to him because he doesn't work anymore. It's a time of new beginnings. Do something different, something that will help us out. And perhaps the plant, the hemp plant, marijuana plant, perhaps that can be a cash crop that can help a lot of these struggling economies come back. Perhaps it will give an opportunity for us to explore some alternative ways of looking at life, some alternative fuels, some alternative clothing materials, on and on and on. Anyway, it's just something to think about. So this story here is called A Time for New Beginnings. This comes to us from Augur Express. I hope I pronounced that right. Augurai Express. There you go. That might be it. Augurai Express. Time for new beginnings. It has been said that most people only embrace real change when the pain of remaining the same drives them to it, or fate leaves them no choice. I suspect that applies especially so here in the Western Hemisphere, where we have been programmed for luxury and bought off with shiny possessions for as long as I can recall. But we have been professionally distracted these last couple of years with everything from Twilight to competitive taxidermy. Major portions of the rest of the world have been engaged in some fairly significant change, as the pain of remaining the same reached intolerable levels. Without a doubt, the powers that have their bloody hands involved in many of these regional revolutions, trying to stomp out the prairie fire before it goes global. They are currently learning the universal law of unintended consequences, as all their years of greedy meddling and manifest destiny have created a monster which is now coming for them. This revolutionary prairie fire grows stronger, pushed along by the winds of change and great shifts of the ages. As I explained a few months back in Aquarius Rising, Crossroads in Time, this shift in ages is essentially a brief period in time when several cycles and patterns all converge, and we are here to witness it and to benefit from it. This whirlwind of change is by no means limited to the political and social arenas. In fact, what we are seeing play out in the regard is just ripples, an energy byproduct of disharmonious vibrations breaking up. The real show is on the spiritual stage, and the players are taking their positions and preparing for a real rave. Change is the central theme of the shift of the ages, and it seems to be a little impatient, as many of us are finding that very recently certain things, habits, and even beliefs are changing automatically without waiting for us to initiate them. This can feel a bit spooky at first, but when you sit down with silence and really look at the new change, you quickly see how perfectly it fits into place. Then there are those other changes, the ones we have been meaning to initiate, waiting for the right time. Well, brothers and sisters, I have some splendid news for everyone. There will never be a better time than right now to kick up some dust and create a brand new beginning, whatever it may be. The energies in love currently swirling around spaceship Earth are literally destroying obstacles and opening portals. The universe is trying to create your heart's desire, whispering, "I've got your back." At long last, my friends, we are out of excuses. There's more to the article here. I'm going to leave it available for you, as always. Check it out. But this is a great time, a new beginning. It's a great time to begin new. Look at what's not working in life, what hasn't been working in life, and find something different. Okay? This is a time when the people of the world overthrow the governments that have been holding them down. Governments of the world don't want to be overthrown. I don't care. The governments of the world have become corrupt. We can all see that. Even those who are skeptical about it know deep down inside that something is wrong. with our governments, with our politicians, with our banking structures, with our religious systems. People of the world knows there needs to be a change, not a revolution, which is a fighting that needs to happen, but an evolution. We need to evolve. Okay? I know there's a lot of races on the planet that talk about how they've been around for such a long time. Guess what? If you really believe you've been around that long, you should be more evolved than what you are these days. When I see the fighting that's going on out there between all the races of individuals, it is really disturbing because these are individuals in races that have been around long enough that should know better. So if you haven't evolved past that point, figure out how to do it or stop being a problem. We need to move forward, and we need to stop allowing the lowest common denominator of stupidity be our yardstick for our success. We have to leave the stupid ones to themselves now because they've had plenty of times to be stupid, and we need to move forward with the great ideas. Okay? The stupid has been the past. It has been the problems we've had. Now we've got a chance to move forward with intelligence. Intelligence is the opposite of stupidity. So if you know somebody in your life that is stupid or being stupid or misinformed, you better tell them to get with the program because life is changing. The light isn't come in, darkness is on its way out, and all those who are misinformed and following the darkness and following that, they're going down. They're going down because God and goodness, it's all coming up now. It's all the winning team. So if you're on the other team, this is your chance to switch because otherwise you're going to crash and burn. Everyone who's following the dark team, you're going to crash and burn. So you better change your ways. Now is the time. It's a new beginning. Let's get into our meditation for today to contemplate some of these ideas. So, close your eyes, take a deep breath. Exhale. And inhale again. And exhale. This time as you inhale, imagine you're inhaling light. And as you exhale, you're exhaling anything out other than the light. Anything that may be darkness, doubt, or negativity, exhale out into the world. Inhale light. Exhale darkness. In with the good. Out with the bad. And as you exhale all of that negativity out into the world, imagine love being sent to it so it changes into love and dissipates into the universe to be recycled again as love. Now take a moment just to contemplate all of the energy within you. There is energy. Sometimes it gets in. That is negative energy, doubts, what have you. We've just practiced on releasing some of those. So be patient with yourself if you find that these things get attached to you from time to time. It is no different than going out and getting dirty, and then at the end of the day you take a shower. It is no different than that. We live in a world where we wander through the muck each and every day. Sometimes we can see the muck that's going on, and sometimes it is beyond the realm of our vision. But it is truly there, and when we learn to be patient as we move through the muck, when we learn to rinse it off of ourselves, we learn that little by little we're dissipating it from the world. And as more of us do this, and more of us encourage others to do this, we clean the world up. For it is our place to clean up. Our place to take charge of our actions. Our place to be responsible as the caretakers for this planet. Our place to follow the spiritual lessons given to us by the masters who have come down to this planet from time to time. So imagine yourself out in the world, cleaning the world. Whatever you need to do, picking something up, wiping something off, sweeping something. Imagine yourself cleaning, and imagine others around the world doing exactly the same thing. And as we go through the world cleaning, the darkness dissipates, the world becomes a brighter, cleaner place. And we find that those caught up in the negativity and the doubts and the fears, well, they cease to be problems. For as the world becomes cleansed, the darkness, the negativity, the doubts, and the fears are cleansed from them as well. And those with hardened hearts become open. Those with closed minds see the error of their ways. And as we all see the common vision of God, the common vision of good, the common vision of love, we all understand that this journey of galactic evolution, it's our destiny. And it's waiting for us to arrive. So let's imagine ourselves arriving at our destiny, taking our rightful place. See the cap of graduation on your head, and accept the diploma of completion as we make our evolutionary steps into the cosmos to be a part of the galactic family that we are already a part of. Take a deep breath. Exhale. One more deep breath. And exhale, sending love out into the world for everyone today. And let that love travel through the world. And as it does, let's bring our conscious mind back to the present moment on the count of 3. 3, coming back to the present moment filled with confidence. 2, coming back to the present moment filled with faith. And 1, coming back to the present moment happy, healthy, and whole. Happy, healthy, and whole. There you have it, my friends. We've come to the end of another show, Prayer Meditation. Thank you for being here again today. I'll be back tomorrow with more news and information. Have a great day. I'll talk to you soon. Peace. I'm out of here.